Okay, today we're going to learn trig ratios. Okay, so you have these formulas on your formula sheet right here. So the sine of an angle is the ratio of a y to r, cos of an angle is the ratio of x to r, and tan is the ratio of a y to an x. So that's going to get used today, and that's a formula that would be provided for you on a test. Okay, number one. Given that your angle goes through the point 3, 4, find all three trig ratios. Okay, so this is the deal. I have this coordinate, 3, 4, and I'm saying that an angle goes through that. Okay, so for me, I'm going to think about this, that it makes a little right triangle. And on this right triangle, this distance would be 3, because that's the x. This side of the triangle would be 4. Okay, and this is a right triangle. So this creates a hypotenuse. So I'm going to go a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So this squared is 9, 16. So 3 squared plus 4 squared equals 25. So the square root of that, I get 5. This 5 in this triangle is the hypotenuse, but really we're treating it like this. That this point is really thinking about it like it's a point on a circle, and this is the radius of the circle. Okay, do you also notice how I drew my triangle as the angle connected to the closest x-axis, like a reference? Okay, I'm going to show you how to find the ratios, and I'm going to think about it two different ways. So method one is your SOHCAHTOA method. So the sine of this angle is the opposite side, so that's 4 divided by the hypotenuse side. The cos of this angle is the adjacent side to it, so 3 divided by hypotenuse. And tan of the angle is the O, the opposite, so 4 divided by the adjacent, 3. Okay, so now using these formulas, you're just plugging everything in, knowing that this is the x, this is the y, and this is the r. Okay, so sine angle, and you just go y, so 4, over the r of 5. Cos of the angle is the x number, so 3 divided by the r, and tan is the y, 4 divided by the x, 3. You can see how I got all the same answers. Something else I know is that this is in quadrant 1. So on the Astica, I should see that all of my trig values are positive, and they are. Okay, so let's do this one. Given that your angle goes through the point -5, 3, so that would be over here. So I'm going to connect a triangle with an angle like that, closest x-axis. Okay, so now labeling my triangle, I'm actually going to put a -5 there and a 3 there. So what is the r of this? So to get distances, you actually don't include negatives, right? Because the distance is just 5. So the distance of 5 squared plus the distance of 3 squared. So 25 plus 9 makes 34. When I square root that, I don't like the looks of that. It's not an exact number. So we will just leave it, because this says exact, so we're going to have to leave it. Okay, so I'm going to use my formulas here from above. So I'm going to go y divided by r for sine. So 3 divided by root 34. So cos the x, so negative 5 over the r, root 34. And tan formula says to take the y divided by the x, so 3 divided by negative 5. Let's just check our answers here to make sure we did other things right. In the Astica world, this is in quadrant 2, so I should have a sign that's positive number, and the other two should end up being negative numbers, which they are. Okay, next question. Given that the angle, sine of the angle is negative 4/5 and cos of the angle is positive, find all the trig values here for cos and tan. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is, if I was given that sine came out to be negative, where could that possibly have happened? Sine could be negative. So I'm thinking my Astica, where's sine negative? So it could have been here or here. Okay, then it also tells me that the cos trig value is positive. So where could I possibly be if cos is positive? I could have been there or there. Okay, now I know I'm in quadrant 4. Okay, so this time I've been given a sine trig value. So I have been told the y number and the r number. So that's what I can draw on my triangle. So my triangle, I've decided, is going to be located in quadrant 4. I've been told the y number and I've been told the r number. So what I haven't been told is the x number. So to get this Pythagorean theorem, I'm going to have to go backwards. So 5 squared subtract 4 squared. And we're just doing distances, right? I'm not doing with the negative 4. So 25 subtract 16 is 9. And when I square root that, it comes out to 3. Okay, at this point, you have to decide about your location. As an x value, is this 3 positive or negative? So it's positive because it's headed to the right. So in other words, this coordinate is 3, negative 4, right? Okay, so now I'm going to state what is the cos fraction trig value. So I'm going to think x over r is the formula. So 3 over 5, and the tan, so the formula is y over x, so that would be negative 4 over 3. So I better understand that my cos should have come out positive, tan is negative, sine is negative. Alright, at this time I want you to pause the video and we'll do, all students can replicate this unit circle. We have practice one, so I want you to take some time and practice right now. And then unpause me when you're done. Okay, so you should have just done a unit circle, and we're going to see how does the unit circle and these x, y, r's all connect together. Okay, so what we know on this unit circle is that when it's called a unit circle, the r value The radius is 1. Every single point on this circle will be a 1 radius away. Okay, so when I do sine of 30, I look at 30 degrees and I'm going to take, the sign says to do the y divided by the r. Okay, so the y value at 30 degrees is 1/2. And the r value, well, I already know the radius is 1. So in other words, guess what I'm going to do? I'm just not even going to talk about this r. So on the unit circle, you don't even have to do the r, because on the unit circle, when you're doing those values, you're dividing by 1. So this answer will just be 1/2. Okay, so cos of 225. So I'm going to go to 225 degrees. Okay, so I've located it. And then cos says look at the x number and divide it by the r number, which is just 1. So really, I'm just going to say, what's the x value at 225? So your answer will be this coordinate, the x coordinate at 225. So that's your answer. Okay, sine of 480. Well, first of all, 480 is not on my circle. So what am I doing here? So you would have to say, if you went 480, how much have you gone past 360? So 120 degrees. So that's where you are. So on my unit circle, here's where I landed, this coordinate. Okay, so sine says on a formula to take just the y, because I'm not going to have to divide by 1. So what is the y coordinate? So your answer is root 3 over 2. Okay, the tan. So the tan is telling me this in the formula. Take the y divided by the x. So I'm going to actually write it out like this instead of a fraction. Okay, so I'm going to go to 30 degrees. I'm going to grab the y, so that's 1/2, and divide it by the x. So at 30 degrees, your x is root 3 over 2. Mathematically, dividing fractions will look like this, where I'm going to switch to times and I'm going to switch the fraction. This is actually going to cause my 2's to cancel, so I get 1 over root 3. Okay, cos negative 495, so I'm going to go backwards. So where do you land here? 495 minus 360. So I'm going to backwards a whole circle and then backwards for another 135. So I land there. So on your unit circle, this is your landing spot at 225 degrees at this spot. So cos says on the formula, grab the x. So cos says grab the x value, so negative root 2 over 2. Okay, tan of 90, so tan says do the y divided by x, that's the formula for it. So I'm going to go to 90, so the y is 1 and the x is 0. Okay, what happens in math if you divide by 0? You can't. You can't possibly divide by 0. So it is going to be called an undefined value. It's something we can't define in math. You cannot divide something by 0, right? Even if you tried it on your calculator, it wouldn't like it. Error. Okay, last one. Tan of 225. So the y divided by the x is the tan formula. So I'm going to go to 225, and this is the y, and this is the x. So y divided by the x. Okay, I'm noticing something here. This is the same number as that. So in math, if you divide two numbers that are the same, they would come out to be 1. Okay, if you didn't see it, you could have gone about your work with timesing and flipping. The 2's would cancel. The root 2's would cancel. The negatives would cancel. When everything cancels in math, a cancellation makes 1.